Dear people of St. Maarten, members of the media, political leaders sitting here, members of the political parties belonging to these, representing also these political party groups, I would like to welcome you today for a historic moment again that will be in the history books of St. Maarten. The first place I would like to thank the community, the people of St. Maarten, and I want to congratulate them with the outcome of the elections. Secondly, I want to thank the people of St. Maarten for the exemplary behavior, the way we conducted ourselves during this election that was on the 19th of August. My heart and my soul wants to thank the people of St. Maarten. We thought before election that this was a different country that we thought it was, and we have proven to St. Maarten and to the world that we are exemplary people that can prove to the world that we can go through an election in a very, very civilized way. And for that, I want to thank the people of St. Maarten for their behavior on the 19th of August. Without the assistance of the police force of St. Maarten, this could not have been possible too. I would like to make a statement that we did not have any remarkable incident at the polling stations. I think that is something to applaud. But still, I would like to thank our police force of St. Maarten for the extra mile that they went together with the VKS of St. Maarten to guarantee security and safety for our country. And actually, we all were very successful in showing St. Maarten that we can do that in a correct way. Analyzing the outcome of the elections, the people have sent a significant message to the world and our community. And based on this message, we have decided, the four political parties, being the Democratic Party, the PFP, the SAM, and the URSM, for us to respect the wish and the mandate of the people as a consequence of the election that took place on the 19th of August. And respecting the mandate, the message that have been sent to all of us, we decided that this will be the best coalition formation that will represent the majority sentiment of the voters and the community of St. Maarten. For that reason, we are going to sign today a letter of intent that we are willing to form a coalition with each other. And it's going to be, as I said, the Democratic Party, the PFP, the SAM, and the URSM. This is the beginning. Of course, we're going to have our governing accord to be signed, and afterward, of course, our governing program. But this will be the first step that's going to lead to the second step, and then ending in our governing program that will be presented on a short term also once we are in government. For that, this is the symbolic moment or not. It is not a symbolic, it's a reality that we're going to sign today with these three coalition partners. We're going to sign our intention declaration that we are going to form, the four of us, a coalition government to govern this country with stability for the coming 4 years for country St. Maarten. And also considering the stability factor that the people of St. Maarten would like to see in this democratic country, we decided that we're going to present a coalition that is going to consist of 9 members of parliament carrying a government for the coming 4 years for County St. Maarten. And for that I would like to, before we sign, give the word to all my individual coalition partners, for them to have the opportunity also to say something to the people of St. Maarten. MP Sarah Westcott-Williams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Prime Minister Mercelina. Good afternoon to each and every one of you in this room and following this press briefing, wherever you may be and via whatever media you might be tuned in to this. A special good afternoon, of course, to my colleagues here at the table, MP-elect Frankie Myers, MP and MP-elect Melissa Gums, and of course, Prime Minister Luc Mercelina. I join the Prime Minister in extending words of thanks to all the people of St. Maarten, all those who came out to exercise their democratic right and voted on August the 19th. And in fact, to all the people of St. Maarten, whether you came out to vote or not, realize that with the outcome of the election, all of you will be represented by your members of parliament that will take office. I also want to say a word of thanks and gratitude to a growing wave of sentiments on St. Maarten that is speaking out against some of the shenanigans that we saw taking place during the campaign. Many persons, and that is the growing wave that I speak of, are saying enough is enough. And the things that we as a people consider unacceptable, that growing wave is speaking out against these things. Enough is enough. The people of St. Maarten have spoken. They have spoken in a democratic way and elected their representatives. So thank you for that as well. We sit here again, not too long after signing a letter of intent, a letter of agreement not too long ago, but now with a hope that the government to be formed will indeed last its full term of 4 years, God's willing. And I do so also with the realization that we are committed, and I am very much committed to pursuing this sometimes elusive matter of electoral reform. Speedily, hastily, some of these issues need to be addressed right now, such as the screening process for one, such as the issue of independent declarations of members of parliament and the effect on a government. These are matters that we need to really post-hastily deal with, and we are committed to do that. You will find it back in the governing accord when that is drafted. And so there's several other issues that all of us here believe that we need to tackle as soon as possible. You would see those reflected in the governing accord as well, issues that we called and which we called in the previous one, hot button issues. These are issues that we are all committed to pick up and pick them up quickly. I am confident once again that what we'll be signing this afternoon, this letter of intent, is the beginning of a process in which the people of St. Maarten will quickly realize that their vote was not in vain, because these parties and the people behind us are committed to serve the people of St. Maarten in a serious and dedicated way. To those persons who voted for the Democratic Party of St. Maarten, I say thank you. Thank all of you for giving us the mandate that put us at this table here this afternoon. Thank you to all voters of all the political parties. Thank you for exercising your right. And again, I am convinced that the 4 party leaders sitting here are going to leave no stone unturned to live up to the commitments that we made during the campaign to the people of St. Maarten. So I am hopeful, and I encourage the people of St. Maarten to be hopeful as well. The government, which we, the 3 of us here, supported back in May of this year, is still committed to continue to work on behalf of the people of St. Maarten. We set out a trajectory, and we plan now with the assistance of the leader of the SAM to fulfill that trajectory and our promises, our collective promises to the people of St. Maarten. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. MP Mercelina.
Thank you, Prime Minister Mercelina, and I want to also join my fellow party leaders in wishing a good afternoon to the people of St. Maarten, and a heartfelt thank you for going out and exercising your democratic right. We fully understood that the frustrations felt with what happened in May of this year, so soon after this government taking place, would have perhaps kept people from the polls, but I am happy to see that along with the growing wave mentioned by MP Westcott, a disregard as well and a distaste for the shenanigans that have caused the falls of multiple governments over these last 14 years is now starting to grow. And I hope to see it continue as the people have chosen for integrity, for ethical decision making, and for persons willing to hold accountability in the highest regard and move forward for the betterment of St. Maarten. I join as well MP Westcott, who kind of outlined everything as per usual, that we are looking to address as a government in looking forward to electoral reform that is not necessarily big swings, but the little changes that go a long way to combating what I would call human nature. Because at the end of the day, you cannot legislate character, as I've always said, and we have to find ways to at least mitigate what character can do. With that being said, I also want to personally thank all the voters that cast their vote for the Party for Progress and have chosen again for that particular golden wave to continue to rise and grow in the political arena of St. Maarten. And I welcome aboard as well MP-elect Franklin Myers, and I look forward to working with him and his experience and his knowledge as we move forward to try to pull St. Maarten out of where we're at. Thank you again, and thank you, Prime Minister, for the time.
You're welcome. Mr. Franklin Myers.
Good afternoon, Honorable Prime Minister Luke Mercelina, MP Sarah Westcott Williams, and MP Melissa Guns, to the members of the press, all of the candidates who supported the various parties, those of you who are listening by any form of media, good afternoon. It is a pleasure for me to be here today. This is a dream come to reality. We started on this mission just 6 weeks ago. 7 weeks ago, we were going about our normal lives. And we did not anticipate that we will be faced with an election that quick. So we gathered whatever resources that we had, we put them together, and myself along with 11 other members of my political party went out and we sold a message. And the message was electoral reform is needed, not because it is popular, but because it is something that St. Maarten must have. We cannot continue, and we could not continue to govern where the order of the day was individualism and not the collective benefits of the people of St. Maarten. Having said that, I would like to thank all of those who came out and exercised their democratic right and vote for whatever political party that is represented here today or is not represented here today, and in particular those 1,249 persons who put their support in the Soualiga Action Movement. St. Maarten has always shown that in our darkest days, we rise to the occasion. We are definitely in our darkest days. And now it's time for us to rise to the occasion. I believe with all sitting at this desk and all of the ministers that are behind the operation of this and all of the other members that will be appointed and sworn into Parliament, I believe we will rise to the occasion and put St. Maarten back on track. I firmly believe that the best days for St. Maarten is not behind us, but in front of us. Let's work towards that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. We're going to go now over to the signing of the letter of intent that we're going to give an addition of to each political party leader forming the coalition. We're going to sign first the first page, and then we're going to sign the second page. Here's one, I think. This one is signed, right? I think you miss, yeah, this one I think is still signed. Yeah. Maybe that's your 2 seconds, this one. Yeah, actually. By signing this document, a new chapter in St. Maarten starts again, and we are going to commit, the 4 of us, to guarantee stability for country St. Maarten in the coming 4 years. As the other leaders said also, we all realize that St. Maarten is going through some challenging times. We are not going to look backward. We are going now to be focused on the future options and possibilities that is going to elevate our prosperity to other heights for the future. I'm encouraging everybody in St. Maarten, let's approach this country with positivism, with great positive approach. Let's stop fighting with each other. And especially those using social media, let's start using social media in a great way to unify our people for the future of this country. What we have been doing in the past is using social media to divide our people, and we realized recently that we could not identify, recognize ourselves the way things were going just before election with this country. And a way to show the people that we have to do this different is the way the voters expressed their will. And we have to learn from this mandate too, and learn our lesson, and let's be people that can be and must be constructive. If we do not change our mindset together with this country, we are not going to achieve what we all dream of for the future of St. Maarten. I'm asking the people of St. Maarten, we have to do this together. Let's hold each other's hand and believe in this country, and let's make sure that the trust and the hope for a better St. Maarten comes back. And as of now, let's stay positive and let's make it happen for a better St. Maarten, to get back the St. Maarten that we all knew in the past. By this, I want to congratulate St. Maarten, I want to congratulate all voters, and as of today, this coalition is not representing the voters that has us here. This coalition is going to be a government that is going to represent all people of St. Maarten. Yesterday was campaigning and politics. As of today, it's about the common interest for a better St. Maarten of tomorrow. I want to thank everybody, and once more my coalition partners, thank you very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Myers, and hopefully we're looking forward to great, great prosperity for country St. Maarten. Thank you all sitting here, and thank you, St. Maarten. Of course.
There are several versions circulating online, so I was hoping if you can give us information as to what the division of portfolios are.
Yes, the division of portfolios will be as follows. To start with the Democratic Party, we will have the portfolio of the Ministry of Finance will be given to the party, Democratic Party, and also the Ministry of Tiat. Tiat and Ministry of Finance will be in charge by the Democratic Party. The PFP will get the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, of course, and also the Ministry of Vromi, and the SAM party will get the Ministry of Justice, and the URSM will get the Prime Minister / General Affairs, VSA, and the Minister Plenipotentiary representing us in the Netherlands.
Can you tell us who the chair of Parliament?
The chair of Parliament will be given with pride and honor to a very experienced politician in our island in the name of MP Sarah Westcott-Williams.
I just have one clarification for you, Mr. Myers. You sent a press release yesterday indicating that you were not involved in any talks, but you were open to discussion, and here you are today.
Yes.
We didn't have the discussion about you just now, but can you elaborate on?
Well, there were some rumors circulating that the SAM had received the Ministry of Education, and that had not been true. Election morning, we did receive some text messages asking if the SAM was interested in dialogue, in which we answered and said yes, of course. And but we had not had any discussions as regards to the formation of government or portfolio division until 6 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So when that press release went out, and it had started to live a life of its own, and one of the things with that, it is damaging because persons' names were being used and put out there while no discussions were even happening. I was called somewhere around 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon and asked if I would be willing to meet at 6 p.m. We met at 6 p.m. and we agreed that the Ministry of Justice was available, and if the SAM would consider being a part of the coalition, it would be available to the SAM, and we accepted.
What from there is that the current constellation of the Council of Ministers should remain. Do you all plan to keep the ministers that you had in place moving forward in the new government? And was there any discussions, because I noticed that now is not here, and there's also a growing sentiment out there that he should have remained Minister of Justice. Did you have discussions that broke down? Can you explain why he is not involved? And will you be keeping the ministers that you have currently?
We are still, it's very short time since the outcome of the elections. We were first in the phase of seeing if the intention was there to work with each other. The second phase was after being convinced that the intention was there, it was okay, how is the constellation of the new government is going to be. So we ended up by discussing with each other the options of ministries for which coalition partner in this coalition. We have just, as Mr. Myers just said, it's a short day until now. And once we have agreed upon the ministries, the next phase will be that we are going to sit again and think further about filling in of the positions for the different ministries. I can give you from my side, for myself, that I got endorsement from the other political leaders and also from the populace of St. Maarten expressed in the election. And with the goodwill, intention and endorsement of my other political parties and of the people of St. Maarten, I will be leading this government as the Prime Minister for the coming 4 years. But further, everything that we're going to do now has to be, except the President of Parliament that I just mentioned. We all had the preference for MP Sarah Westcott-Williams with her knowledge and experience to guide Parliament of St. Maarten. And she accepted that, and now we're going to sit together again in our own faction and negotiate and see what are the best candidates to fill in the different ministerial posts.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon and congratulations. Will there be a recount? Some members of the different parties have asked for a recount. I suppose that's one of the things that might change the constellation. So will there be a recount? Will it be a total recount? When will that happen? And in terms of the screening process for ministers, what point does that happen? I suppose it would happen after the new members of parliament are sworn in, but perhaps you can elucidate what the timeline on starting the screening process looks like.
Yeah, first of all, the technical organization of an election falls under the responsibility of the Prime Minister. That's first. Secondly, the managing the election as such, and also the process on the day of election, what is happening in the polling stations, and also dealing with the results of the election is the responsibility of the Central Voting Bureau. So the question if there's going to be a recount is the prerogative of the Central Voting Bureau and not from the Prime Minister or from the government. It's pure the responsibility and the prerogative of the Central Voting Bureau. It's a very good question, but that question has to be actually directed to the Central Voting Bureau, depending on correspondence and requests that they can receive from the different political parties with any argumentation indicating their request for a recount. But that is a correspondence that goes between the political parties and the Central Voting Bureau, which I, as Prime Minister, being and responsible for the election as such, does not have a take on.
I take it that the formation process will now start. Have you been contacted by the governor to indicate as to whether or not the informateur or formateur will be appointed, and if yes, how soon do we foresee that process taking place?
Yeah, the formation of a government is a decision of the people of the country. That is their expression, and that is why we're sitting here today. The second phase is that we will inform the governor that we have signed an intention declaration, and the second step is up to the governor after evaluating our proposal if he is going to appoint an informateur or an informateurs group, or is going to bypass the informateurs phase and go directly to appointing a formateur. But that is also his call and not our call.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Prime Minister, you had mentioned that there's some extra justice presence on the island related to the security. There's been very positive feedback about an increased police presence and also, I guess, the military presence. Is that going to continue? How does that operate in relation to now that the elections are over?
One big deal has been made is with the KPSM, being through the head of the KPSM, Mr. Carl John. After his indications that there was a necessity for the expansion and enforcement of the police force, we directed that to the other islands that request, being Curaçao, Aruba, Ceiba, and Statia. And also we got assistance from the RST from St. Maarten, but also from Curaçao, also from the VKS, and we added an additional request for some support from the defense, being the military. The deal was for the police force that Mr. Carl John anyway will have also a decision-making moment in deciding when he finds that the safety is okay, can be handled locally without assistance from abroad. And we are, of course, dependent on his advices that he gives us, but I'm informed already that we started to actually give the police forces of Curaçao, Aruba, Ceiba, Statia. We are busy with actually giving them the option of exit already. The other deal being the assistance and agreement for the defense, being the military. We have representation from military that came from Curaçao, from the Netherlands, and we have here also a detachement here in St. Maarten. And the idea is that once the government of St. Maarten, represented by me, finds it appropriate, I will actually discuss with the Defense Ministry of the Netherlands through the official channels here when we will find it appropriate to say thank you to the military of the defense of the kingdom for them to go back to their stations.
Madam Chair Lady, you have a few returning parliamentarians. You also have a few new ones incoming.
Yes.
What's your plan for them? How do you intend to at least bring them up to speed in relation to the Constitution?
The Democratic Party has an ongoing, I can call it a program, not only for our incoming MPs, aspiring MPs, but just generally within the party. That is one of training, information, and that for us, for the party, is ongoing. In addition to that, being the party leader in Parliament, you could imagine that the best service for my members of Parliament would be had for me myself, in terms of bringing them up to speed where necessary and guiding them as incoming MPs. And I can also inform you so that we know then who we will be talking about as incoming MPs, that the current ministers representing the Democratic Party in the Government of St. Maarten will continue to hold that function and accomplish what they set out to do based on the principles and vision of the Democratic Party and the governing accord to which we are signatories.
With that being said by Mrs. Westcott-Williams, Mr. Myers, are you considering taking on ministerial posts, or do you plan to remain in Parliament?
No, it is my intention to stay in Parliament.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
right.
and what is the party's, because the justice, that's a big ministry,
Yes, it is.
a lot of issues in that ministry to be ironed out. What are some of the priorities that your party has for that ministry, given the fact that you have accepted it?
Well, we've accepted it, and we have, like I said, the meeting yesterday was 6 o'clock. And we have, today we had a meeting with the party, and we've decided unanimously that, okay, we will go ahead and accept the ministry, and over the next coming days, we will set out to see who we will select as a minister, and then we will put a priority list together. But I believe the only way you can put a priority list together is to reach out to the various divisions in justice and find out what their burning topics are.
Thank you. And if
So our priorities will be their priorities.
Understood. And if I may ask the same question to Mr. Gomes, do we expect to see Mr. Gomes back as the Prime Minister?
Well, as a party, we've always believed in continuity, of course, and now we have an additional portfolio to consider as well. So that is as well, the meeting was 6 o'clock, so part of the discussions that we're going to continue to have is also how best to move forward and also ensure that both those ministries are strong enough to get them out of where they are.
Thank you so much. And I guess Prime Minister, can we expect to see Ms. Janssen-Webster back as the DSA?
That depends. As I told you, we were negotiating until now the ministries as such, and depending on now going back to our own faction, to our own political party, we're going to sit and fill in for the future of St. Maarten that post, and that discussion still has to take place in our political party.
Thank you so much.
If I may piggyback a bit, MP, have you identified your candidate for the Ministry of ECYS?
I mean, no, we are. I've always said our bench is deep, and we are an education-heavy party. That is a large chunk of our manifesto. And as a ministry that has been neglected over the last 4 years, it is one that requires careful managerial touch, and so that is what we'll be looking for when considering candidates.
Prime Minister, do you anticipate the screening process to go much faster now that you have, the coalition have decided to maintain most of the ministers that are currently sitting? Do you anticipate that this time it will not take 4 to 5 months, but it will go faster than the last time?
Yeah, there is a misconception that the former formation process took too long, as if the formateur in that time, being me, was the one actually dragging that process. That's not the case. The challenge that we have is that the VDSM, in the Netherlands, in Dutch, the Veiligheidsdienst St. Maarten, together with the Procureur-Generaal, the Attorney General, they have a part to play in this too. And by law, there is no statement made about the time span that they can use to screen the ministers the way they want. If they want to take 2 weeks, they take 2 weeks. If they want to take 2 months, they can take 2 months. There are no limitation in time span to control that process. So the moment we collect all the information that we need for the screenings process and we hand it over to the VDSM and the PG, that means at that particular moment we lose control about time and management. And that is what happened last time, that it took a long time before we got a report back from the Attorney General and from the VDSM. That was actually the cause that it took so long for us to finalize the process.
If I could just add to what the Prime Minister stated, as I mentioned in my introduction, the matter of the screening of candidate ministers, we also consider that as part of the electoral reform. And our ultimate desire for that is to legislate the process, legislated by national ordinance. Of course, that is not going to be something that can go into effect for this screening, but what I do believe, and as a coalition, we are committed to look at that, is whether the current national decree, so the LB that governs the screening of candidate ministers, if some further expanding of that can take place, for example, to add in a time limit, a reasonable time limit for the agencies to respond. Because as you know, right now, we have a national decree that governs the screening of candidate ministers. As the Prime Minister indicated, the agencies that need to be consulted are not bound by any time limit. And this is something that may be an annex, addition, amendment to the national decree can make the process a little more smoother. And of course, if an agency says, no, I can't reach the 3 weeks deadline because of XYZ, that should also be left to the possibilities, that can be done, because we cannot see what the issues might be that the agencies would have. But I do think that at least a reasonable time given should be upheld unless there are extenuating circumstances that the agency or agencies involved would need more time. But that is a discussion that, again, we only started last evening, because I do believe we should have a better grip on the duration of the screening process.
And just for clarity, is VDSM allowed to screen ministers?
Yes, they are.
So just for clarity, at what point in the formation process can the screening actually begin? Does it depend on the new parliament taking seats? What point can it actually start?
When the formation instructions or formation mandate is given by the governor, because he's the one that would have to do that, unless we become very progressive and decide that we can skip those steps, then we have to decide at what time can the submission of candidate ministers take place. But that will require some formulation and finalization. I think it's possible, but that's a story for another time.
If we can find out, I do have a question I'd like to know from Mr. Myers. Yourself and your nephew will be on opposite sides of the aisle.
But in the same family.
Okay, so how
That's the best.
yes, but
That can't change.
you will be on opposite sides, you in government and him in opposition. How do you foresee that?
I hope that I know for me, and I'm sure for him, our responsibility is to the people of St. Maarten. And that's all that matters.
Frankie, you have to have a broad shoulder, because if I count correctly, there will be 4 members of the same family in Parliament this time.
Correct. My ancestors was very busy. They were very busy. They were fruitful. The world will be fruitful. Fruitful family. Yes. Darrell York, Jurendi Duran, Omar Atley, and myself are related, but none by the second degree.
Thank you.
Okay, so Melissa Gum, seeing that Ludu will have more votes than you, would she be the new leader of PFP, or you will remain the leader?
I think you should ask her, because as we said on the radio this morning, that's not actually how we function.
Okay, I didn't
Other
hear.
parties might have those issues internally, but I think she answered the question herself this morning on a lecture that that's not something that she even desires. I think persons underestimate what being party leader is. It's not just a title, much like minister. But she answered that very well, so I suggest to check back the live to watch her response.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. I want to thank everybody for this historic moment, and we are looking forward to a great working relationship with the citizens and with the media. And once more, congratulations to St. Maarten, and we're looking forward to a great, prosperous St. Maarten in the nearby future. Thank you very much.